Imagine turning on the biggest show on earth, 100 million eyes locked in, and watching a superstar use that stage not to play it safe, but to set the whole industry on fire. No denials, no wink and nod PR speak, just a live public X-ray of power, ego, and censorship. The cameras cut to the luxury suites. Someone up there, let's call him Super Drake, the avatar of influence, watches as the crowd roars. Down below, a different kind of king plants a flag. Artists will speak, the truth will breathe, and if it makes the empire uncomfortable, good. Tonight, we trace the fault lines that moment exposed. We follow the paper trails, the lawsuits, the silencing, the crash-outs, and the confessions hiding in plain sight. And we ask the only question that matters: when did entertainment stop being art and start being the world's most profitable cover-up? If you're new here, you're watching Scandal News. Stay with me to the end, because the picture only gets clearer the deeper we go. And while you're here, tap subscribe to join Scandal News, where the stories everyone tiptoes around get told plainly. Let's begin where the masks slipped. The halftime lights went black, and the beat hit like a verdict. It wasn't just a performance, it was a thesis on live TV. The choreography was clean and militaristic, the set pieces moved like chess, and the narration threaded the whole spectacle into a single message. Words matter, truth matters, and fear is the only thing trying to smother both. Watch closely and you caught the mockery. Little jabs at litigious hands trying to close mouths. A laugh at the idea that someone could sue speech into submission. A wink at the industry's instinct to sanitize and censor until nothing real is left. That night, the halftime show didn't just entertain, it indicted. From that stage, a signal went out. The curtain is coming down on the era of empty spectacle. And the first to feel the light were the architects of that spectacle, the fixers, the suits, and the superstars who treat silence like a product and truth like a liability. Here's the heart of it. For years, rap's loudest voices sold us a dream. The bravado, the clocks and chains, the carefully curated "I'm untouchable" myth. But beneath the baselines, the system evolved. Labels learned that controversy is cheaper than development, outrage is quicker than artist growth, and a scandal spike can outdo a marketing budget. When a storm hits, streams go up. Apologies? Optional. Accountability? Deferred. And if something, anything, threatens the machine, you don't fix the machine. You threaten the messenger. That's why the halftime moment landed like a meteor. In the luxury seats, the brand-safe version of a titan, Super Drake, watched a performance that dared him, and everyone like him, to blink. Down on the field, the message was simple. You can sue critics, you can threaten platforms, you can tour with lawyers in your entourage, but you can't copyright consequences. In the end, the audience decides whose story holds. To understand how we got here, follow 3 patterns. First, the silence economy. You've seen it. A track dissing someone lands. A rebuttal track follows, then the tidal wave of legal letters, phone calls, "We're disappointed" statements. It's not new, it's just scaled up, industrialized. Big artists learned that policing speech is faster than disproving it. And when power calls, smaller outlets fold. The goal isn't truth, it's chilling. Make an example of a few voices and the rest fall quiet. That halftime show called the bluff. Sue a song? Sue a stage? Sue a feeling? Good luck. Second, the confession economy. This one is darker. Somewhere along the way, art became an alibi. People started hiding their worst impulses in plain sight, turning confessions into content, hoping that beats would drown out the meaning. When the public finally catches up, when courtrooms and timelines align, labels pretend to pull the plug. But check the numbers. The song streams spike. The catalogue surges. The PR machine shifts from denial to distance, while still banking the bump. It's the ugliest trick in the book. Profit today, forget tomorrow. Third, the machine's endgame. Every headache is a case study in why we don't need messy humans. When execs can show a board that real artists come with risk, speech, controversy, lawsuits, they argue for replacing them with safer, cheaper, more controllable alternatives. Fewer splits, fewer tantrums, fewer truths. That's the quiet revolution you're not supposed to notice. The stakes of free expression aren't just about a diss track. They're about whether real people will be allowed to make real art at all. Now weave those 3 threads back through the stories you've watched unfold. The superstar who acts like the comment section owes him compliance. The self-styled moralist who spends more time with attorneys than musicians. The artist who raps the worst parts of himself and dares you to applaud. The label that looks at human cost and sees a line item. And floating over it all, the influencer archetype, our super Drake, who wants the perks of the throne without the burden of the truth. That's why the stage mattered. On that night, the message was bigger than one beef. It was a plea and a dare. Be honest, be human, be accountable. The artist at the center didn't paint himself as a saint. He reminded you he isn't one. That difference, owning your flaws versus burying them under litigation, separates art from advertising. Let's step into the rooms where these choices get made. Picture a glossy conference room at 10 a.m., a crisis deck on the screen. A song is exploding for the wrong reasons. Someone reads the sentiment analysis. Negative trend but high engagement. The solution isn't reform, it's strategy. We'll mute the interviews for now, delay the tour leg, posture disapproval but quietly fuel the algorithm, set the playlists, nudge the influencers, spin the narrative, let the heat do its work. On the last slide, projected revenue from controversy-driven streaming. Everyone nods, coffee cups clink, meeting adjourned. Now picture a studio at midnight. A younger artist hears all this and wonders if honesty can get you punished and controversy gets you paid. Which lane pays rent? That's how we lose generations. One play it safe call at a time. But the cycle isn't unbreakable. The halftime performance proved as much. In front of the world, a different blueprint appeared. Stand on truth, take the hits, tell your story anyway. Use the biggest platform to say the quiet part loud. Mock the culture of suing feelings into silence. Celebrate speech as a right, not a favor. And crucially, do it with craft so undeniable that even your enemies have to watch. There's another layer people miss. When an artist at that level throws the gauntlet down, he's not just battling a rival. He's throwing a life raft to the entire creative class. This is how it's done, he says. Not because it's easy, but because survival without integrity isn't survival. It's brand management. Of course, not everyone hears it that way. Some fans twist honesty into hypocrisy. If you admit your flaws, you're weak. If you protect yourself with lawyers, you're smart. But the scoreboard doesn't lie. The public can feel the difference between a human being and a press release, and in the long run, the human wins. Zoom back out. Beyond the charts, something bigger is being mirrored, the broader media world. Everywhere you look, platforms throttle uncomfortable truths. Companies punish dissent with contracts instead of conversations. Personalities build empires on vibes, then panic when the vibes turn. It's not unique to music. It's just louder there because the BPM amplifies everything. So where does this go? On one side, the censors double down. More NDA-wrapped partnerships, more clauses about disparagement, more speed-dialed attorneys. On the other, the truth-tellers build their own lanes. Independent media, direct-to-fan drops, shows that use spectacle to smuggle in substance. That halftime moment wasn't just rebellion. It was a roadmap. If the gate is locked, perform on the roof. Let's talk about the cost of that courage. It's not abstract. It means living with lawsuits hanging over your calendar. It means executives whisper that you're difficult. It means losing the easy endorsements. But it also means something the machine can't simulate: trust. When people believe you, you don't need a brand to vouch for you. Your work vouches for itself. The other camp pays a cost too. Call it the emperor's wardrobe problem. When your image is stitched together by teams of crisis managers, one gust of wind and one inconvenient fact can unravel the whole thing. Then you're left scrambling, trying to sue the wind. It never works. The audience remembers. The internet remembers. And somewhere in a crowded stadium, a camera finds your face when the punchline lands. You can't serve papers to a punchline. There's a longer shadow we have to acknowledge. The Ice Cube 1992 euphemism circulates for a reason. Some stories are so dark they don't need names to be understood. A system that rewards denial will always miss the warning signs, and a marketplace addicted to content won't pause to ask what it's normalizing. That's how people get hurt. That's how rot seeps in. And that's why calling it out, clearly, publicly, artfully, matters. You felt it in the show's spiritual center, when the music tilted from defiance to prayer. A reminder, none of us are clean. That's not the point. The point is to refuse the sedative of deception, to keep bad energy away by naming it when you see it, to ask again and again the question that slices through the hype machine. Who told you you deserve to be the greatest? Here's what comes next if the message lands. Artists stop pretending perfection is the ticket. They start building catalogues that read like diaries instead of corporate memos. They protect their right to speak by exercising it loudly. Labels relearn the difference between development and damage control. The courts stop being content moderators by proxy. And fans, us, draw a line. Streams don't excuse harm. Numbers don't outweigh people. And if the message doesn't land, the machine wins a few more quarters, more lawsuits to manage opinions, more confessional hits from people who should be confessing to judges instead of microphones, more suits telling boards that AI never shows up late, never tweets, never bleeds. That's the fork in the road. One path is culture, the other is content. So where do we stand tonight? Somewhere between a laugh and a lawsuit, between a roar of freedom on a national stage and a whisper campaign in a back office, between artists who bleed and avatars who brand. The good news, once you see the trick, it stops working. You start hearing the difference between a confession and a confession as marketing. You start noticing when criticism gets litigated instead of answered. You start recognizing the playbook, slide by slide, and you stop being played. And if you need a compass, go back to that show. The music was a map, the narration a legend, the crowd a jury, the message a promise. We'll keep speaking, no matter who tells us not to. We'll keep making room for imperfect humans who make perfect art. We'll keep demanding that power answer with truth, not paperwork. If you felt that, carry it. Talk about it. Support the artists and outlets who won't fold. Share the work that tells the messy truths. And when the next spectacle rolls in, ask yourself, is this art or is it anesthesia? You're watching Scandal News. If you believe in uncomfortable honesty and stories told without fear, subscribe right now. Hit that button, join the community, and help us keep the light on the places power wants to keep dark. We drop the episodes they hope you don't see, and we say the quiet parts out loud. There's one more scene I want you to picture before we go. A studio late at night, a blank page, a beat humming like a heartbeat, a pen pauses above the line. There's a choice, be smaller than the truth or match it. Tonight's lesson is simple. If you can't outrun your reflection, you might as well face it. And if your empire depends on silence, it was never an empire, it was a rented costume. Somewhere a camera cuts back to that luxury suite. Someone forces a smile. Down on the field, the drums start again. We'll be here when the next mask slips. Subscribe to Scandal News. Stay loud, stay curious, stay free.